without further ado, Cyril, Cyril? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
From Parrotly Finance. We are so excited to have you guys here. I've got to say, you guys are building an ecosystem that's a little bit different than a lot of things we're seeing in DeFi right now. And you are still one of the most talked about names I've been hearing on a daily basis. I've not done a huge deep dive on what you're building, so I'm excited to kind of learn along with the community. This is like my favorite part about doing AMAs is I feel like, man, it's like the best research that I get to be a part of. But you guys, I'm seeing your name everywhere right now. Maybe we just got a lot of people in our community that are really excited about it, but we're stoked to have you here. Is there anyone else from your team that I need to bring up to the stage, or is it just you today?
I think it's just me today, and we're pretty excited to be here. Love that people are excited about what we're working on, and I'm happy to be here to share a little bit more about what we're doing, and some of the problems in today's world that we're trying to solve.
Perfect, sweet. Well, I mean, in my mind, let's get right into it. I would love, as you say, problems you're trying to solve. What exactly are these problems you're trying to solve? Let's dive into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I just want to, kind of introduce myself. My name is actually Joshua Hood. I'm fully doxed. Yep, fully doxed. Our entire team is actually because we're a registered corporation in Delaware, United States. So, so I'm Joshua Hood. Feel free, like my internet name has just always been Cyril, and that's just what I've been going by ever since I first started my life and journey on the internet. But anywho, there's some problems in today's world restricting crypto's growth for real world applications, which is a shame when you consider that crypto as a whole has been gaining pretty fast traction, almost at a semi-parabolic rate, over the years. Crypto total market cap hit $2.8 trillion back in November of 2021, which puts it on par with Apple and bigger than Microsoft.
Wow.
And yet it's still separate from the real world, right? Which means there's a lot of money growth that businesses and companies are not accessing. They're leaving that potential client base off the table, right? You've got regulating bodies and government institutions that are trying to control crypto's growth, maybe because they view it as a threat, maybe because they're not sure how to regulate it correctly. But meanwhile, individuals of the world are seeking that broader adoption because they want to be able to use their crypto to buy things in the real world. But the problem is corporations and businesses don't have a way to manage crypto assets in DeFi the same way that they manage funds in a traditional fiat bank account.
Awesome. So where you guys are, I mean, I'll let you answer this, but where you guys are coming to fit into just the Wild West that is DeFi is actually a solution to corporations being unable to manage their assets.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a business owner myself, and have been for over 15 years now. And I work with a lot of other businesses and everything like that. And as a business owner, I see this market and I know how important it will be for businesses to tap into it, right? And I know the restrictions in place, like I can't as a business go and start trying to put crypto on my balance sheets without having a nightmare to deal with, right?
Yep.
So Parrotly Finance, and again, we are an incorporated C Corp corporation in Delaware, and our mission is to fill that void and bridge the gaps that currently exist between DeFi crypto usage and the centralization need for large businesses and corporations. We also strive to reduce the learning curve needed to be able to partake in the budding crypto space, allowing the masses to embrace the change. So our key goal is to capture the market share of this emerging necessity for corporations and businesses alike to enter the world of crypto. So
very cool.
There's a couple of ways that we're going about it. So we have two pieces of the big puzzle that we're putting together out currently.
Okay.
So I want to tell you guys a little bit about the first piece. Then I'm going to talk about the second piece, and then I'm going to tell you how it's all going to tie together with the proprietary product that we're developing called the Flock Wallet. So,
Perfect. Great. Yeah, let's talk about the first way you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first product that we released was our NFT series. And it's called the Flockers Social Club. A little bit of wordplay there. But our FSC NFT series provides holders exclusive real world benefits and discounts with all partners that we have currently and any future company that plans to onboard into the Flock wallet. So just as an example, we have a pilot partner right now, Room 101, and they make a lot of like bespoke, like niche items, like some wine, some cigars, instruments, jewelry, etc. But our FSC members get a 20% standing discount on any jewelry. So like it's that real world benefit. And that's just an example from one of our partners. And any company that onboards to our products and services is going to be required to give a benefit to those FSC members. That's
and the FSC, or anyone that's holding the NFT, essentially.
Correct.
When did so the NFTs are already out? I'm guessing they are, and that's what everyone rocking the PFPs in the AMA right now. Are the NFTs already out?
Yes, they are out currently.
Cool. I see a couple of people that I like that are core member. Craig Robinson in there. He's a core member here. He's got one of yours on. G is in there. He's got one on. So cool.
Yeah. Well, we really like it. It's that uniqueness. There's only 3,000 of them, and right now they're over. I think the last count was right about halfway minted out. And they're 86 Matic. You can get them on our website. But so our second piece to the puzzle that we're building here is our native token called pBirb. Stands for Parrotly bird, right? And that is our DeFi token. This token will serve as the native currency that's used in Parrotly Finance's products and services. It's a deflationary currency. Every 2% of every sell transaction reduces its supply over time. And the way we set it up, there were no reserves for devs. I had to actually buy my own tokens when we launched, right?
Good. Love to hear that.
Yeah. Under the same restrictions as everyone else. Like we had a restricted pre-sale where you could only purchase 275 Matics worth of the token. And by doing this, it kind of helped prevent people from coming in and scooping up big chunks of the supply, and it just kept things more balanced, right? Because what we're working towards with the entire supply being released to the public, we only held 5% back to provide liquidity for central and decentral exchanges. Everything else was released. We locked 65% of the liquidity by burning the LP tokens, essentially throwing away the keys to all the Matic, the pBirb, including any fees generated, because we wanted to ensure that was a hard set. That could never be taken out. It's there permanently. The 35% that wasn't burnt, we're actually in the process. I had a nice hour-and-a-half long call with Sim this morning, but we're in the process of utilizing quantum liquidity with Sphere. Now, here's the fun thing. Mm-hmm. We're actually going to be pairing that to USDC, which will stabilize our token. The goal for our token is what we like to call the equilibrium tokenomics. But we're going to let 50% of the supply burn off. And the reason for this is I want our liquidity to be 2 times what our market cap is. I know a lot of people are like, what do you mean you want your market cap to be less than the liquidity? Allow me to explain. So I can go out and in 5 minutes, I can make a token that has a $5 billion market cap. market cap is not an accurate representation of the health of a token, right? It simply shows you the price of all the circulating supply if it was all capable of being sold, right? But liquidity is what is important. And I challenge you, when you're looking at new projects to invest into, I want you to look at the ratio of how much their liquidity is compared to their total market cap. And you'll find that a lot of projects will run with anywhere from as low as like 0.3% liquidity versus market cap to maybe like 10 or 15%. Parrotly has, last I looked, like 50%, slightly more than 50% liquidity versus market cap. And what that means is that all of our supply is there. It is in the liquidity. Now, as our supply burns down through transactional volume and those 2% of cells, it will allow our token to become truly backed. Because initially you have, whatever you sold during pre-sale, that's in holders' wallets, right? And then you take all of that money and you pair it to the rest and you put it in. And if you let 50% burn down, i.e. what you sold during pre-sale, now every single pBirb token is backed by Matic.
So, I mean, you're essentially working towards making yourself stable by doing that.
Correct. And by utilizing quantum liquidity, we're going to compound that effect, right? Because the pairing in our liquidity pool is going to grow while the token itself decreases. And so that will allow us to become actually more than truly backed. So it'll remove the volatility from the token over time and allow it to have a much more stable foundation, which is key because we need it to be accepted by these partnerships that we have as a transactional token. And our pilot partner, Room 101, has actually already agreed to accept pBirb as payment once we complete the Flock wallet. So,
sweet.
Yeah. So we're basically, the goal for pBirb is to have it as a transactional token for other companies, kind of similar to how BTC is used, but with the correct infrastructure in place for them to accept it and use it properly via our products and services.
And like tying it into having real world utility in that.
Yes. And that's going to be key because our main product, the Flock wallet, is going to bring businesses to DeFi instead of trying to take DeFi to businesses. Because if you try to take DeFi to a business, they have no real way to properly manage it, right? And so we're going to bring businesses to DeFi by giving them that infrastructure. So
you're essentially placing them in your ecosystem. Does that then allow me? So say you partner with, you mentioned one business already that you've partnered with, but you bring a business into your ecosystem. Can I then use your eventually stable coin? Could I then use that to interact with whatever that business is producing?
Yes, via the Flock wallet.
Sweet. Well, I will let you get into the Flock wallet because I'm excited to hear about that then. Because I get excited about any time that we can bring real world access to DeFi. There is a lot of perks to DeFi, and it is a lot of fun being in such a wild space sometimes. But at the same time, I mean, I get asked by my wife all the time, like, okay, but are we ever going to do anything with that money? And so to be able to say like, hey, yeah, I don't actually even have to move it directly to my bank account to utilize it. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys, let's keep going. I'm excited to see how exactly we can utilize the crypto for these real world assets.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's definitely been an important, I think, a very important venture here because, right now there's just that sheer disconnect. Like if I want to buy something in the real world, I first have to exchange my token for, say, Matic, which is a capital gains tax event. And then I have to send it to like, Coinbase after bridging it over or something, and then exchange it for US dollars, which is another capital gains tax event, and then send it to my bank before I can buy something. And it's a hassle. So Flock Wallet. The Flock Wallet is a proprietary cryptocurrency wallet that's unlike any other available DeFi crypto wallet. It combines the benefits and structure of a traditional bank account with the innovation of DeFi wallet to cater to large businesses and organizations that require the functionality of a standard business account. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. If you are running a business, let's say you have a marketing department, right? Let's say you're the head of marketing and you're given a debit card to the business bank account that has the funds that are allocated for the marketing department in it. You, as being the head of marketing, have full authorization for any transactions you need to make, right?
Right.
Let's say your secretary may have authorization for up to X amount in daily transactions because you need her or him to be able to, pay vendors or, book things while you're busy. So they would have a different bank account card with a different level of authorization on. Then you've got Jerry in accounting, who maybe only needs to be able to take, some clients out for lunch. And so you only authorize them for like $200 a day on your bank account. You can do that in traditional banking. You cannot do that in DeFi. So our Flock wallet, the business side of it, is going to have a couple of the following features and more that I can't talk about yet, but it's going to have a couple of the following. So it'll have multiple tiers of authorization. You can assign multiple users to this wallet, and it will have built-in accounting tools that track all of these transactions and make it an auditable accounting report that will integrate with your business's tax software. So like if you're a small business using QuickBooks, you can export the report and it'll import it into your business taxes so that you can easily file all those taxes and, come tax time. It'll have the KYC aspect, meaning your employees, you'll know exactly who they are, what accounts, they're running, what transactions they're performing, what transactions they're signing. And on the flip side, if you're a DeFi project that wants to use this, you can set the authorization tiers so that it would require, X amount of people to sign off on something if it's over a certain amount.
So you essentially have like a multi-sig built into the Flock wallet if that was something that we wanted to activate.
Right. But the difference is the rest, if you chose, like as a DeFi project, it would behoove you to possibly use something like that. But in a business aspect where your employees are legitimate employees, they're not going to steal funds from you. But even if they did, you would see it on the accounting report, right? But this will allow them to operate and perform transactions at the high pace necessary for businesses to operate instead of waiting for, 4 or 5 people to get on to sign, paying a vendor, right?
Sweet. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. And it's going to have the modern UI UX. So there's going to be a web-based dashboard. There's going to be a browser extension as well as an app for Android or iPhone. And you're going to be able to import multiple seed phrases into the Flock wallet and tab back and forth between them as separate instances instead of having to, do what you currently do, which is have multiple instances of Chrome so that you can access different seed wallets on MetaMask.
Exactly what I have.
Yeah, I do that too, dude. I have like 8 different Google accounts that I use.
I have 3 different Google accounts that I specifically use so that I have different accesses. Yep.
It's a pain, isn't it?
Yeah. So very sweet. When is the goal for you guys to release? So far the token is out and the NFT is out. Is that right?
Correct.
And then when are you guys intending on releasing the Flock wallet?
So a beta, well, I say beta, but it's really the first iteration. The first iteration of the core wallet functions is targeted to be released in Q4 of this year. and we'll incrementally roll out additional features and functionality and segmented upgrades to the Flock wallet, and to bring a truly unique product to businesses and individuals alike. The personal side of the Flock wallet is what's going to come out first. And then as we roll out additional features, it will build its way towards us releasing the business side of the Flock wallet. So users are going to have access to that same accounting reporting for when they want to file their taxes. There's going to be that built-in cross-chain swap router. Like MetaMask right now, they just have that swap router, which they charge way too much for, in my opinion. But they have that built in, but it's only on the same chain, right? So then you got to go deal with bridging this, bridging that.
Yep.
Ours is going to be a built-in with ramp functionality. If you're
so
not
when
familiar,
I want to swap, it can both swap and bridge at the same time, essentially.
Correct. Just like a cross-chain aggregator, will have a built-in cross-chain swap router. And for those who don't know what ramp is, it's similar to MoonPay, but cheaper. It allows people to do a KYC through a third party and then purchase that chain's native token directly with a credit or debit card. So we're breaking down the complexity barriers for new people entering crypto.
So if I was a brand new person in crypto, I can use the Flock wallet. I can access the Flock wallet with a debit card or a credit card?
Yeah, so with the built-in ramp functionality, you would be able to, as a brand new person to DeFi, you'd be able to download the Flock wallet, perform a third-party KYC, and then purchase with a credit or debit card, like say Matic or BNB or Ethereum, if you're a glutton for punishment.
Just use some Ethereum transactions today.
Oh, how painful was that?
Only like $100 in gas.
Ooh, right in the feels. But yeah, so it'll have that ease of access for people who are new to crypto, because my father, he is in his late 50s, and oh my God, trying to explain to him how to buy this, how to swap that, how to do XYZ. I usually just say, hand me your phone, right?
That's me with my father-in-law.
Right. Because it's so difficult. The learning curve is steep, especially for people who aren't familiar with it or people who are from an older generation. It can be tricky to get into. And so we're looking to break down that barrier with the Flock wallet by making that ease of use access, providing the accounting tools so that Granny doesn't get screwed by the IRS, and just making everything simple. There's no reason why DeFi needs to be complicated.
Which is interesting because, if you just look at like just the statistics, and I'm not going to throw out a random statistic without Googling it first, but the majority of wealth in the world is held in the granny generation that you're like joking about. Someone commented in there, said, "Who you calling granny?" With his nice white beard. And so the reality is that the majority of wealth is held in the older generations, while the majority of people using DeFi and crypto are like under 25. I think the average DeFi user is 18 to 25, and actually isn't even in the US or like a main developed nation. They're like, it's very active in places like the Philippines, or not the Philippines isn't developed, but isn't the US or the UK, the average spender. And it's because there's so much like just conflicting information to be able to even access DeFi. And so we hear all the time people that their goal is to bridge that. And if you're successful in doing so, that's huge. So if I'm hearing this right, if once the Flock wallet is in its full beauty, not its very first beta iteration, but in the full intended use case, I could bring my friend who is brand new to crypto. They can skip going to Coinbase or Binance or KuCoin. They could KYC directly with the Flock wallet. They could purchase inside of the Flock wallet with their credit card and on-ramp fiat to whatever choice DeFi they're using, and then begin to make their transactions and whatnot all within your wallet.
Correct. And that's actually functionality that's coming in the first version of the wallet.
Okay, that's first version. Sweet.
Yeah.
What's coming in the later versions?
So later versions, let me tell you about something that we're working towards.
And I guess if it's secret so far, you don't have to reveal stuff that hasn't been announced, but
oh yeah. No, there's a lot of stuff that I can't talk about yet, simply because, well, the DeFi space is very competitive, and because one of the first proprietary features that is coming in the initial version of the Flock wallet is literally a game changer. Like I got off an hour and a half call with Sim this morning over at Sphere after he signed an NDA for Parrotly, talking about this, and he's even very excited about it. And as you know, he's doing crazy innovation over in the DeFi space with Sphere. So like I can't wait to talk about that one, and I'll have to let you guys know as soon as I can. But one of the things that we are working towards in a future upgrade for the Flock wallet is something called the nesting protocol.
Another bird pun.
Of course, it has to be. That's part of the whole theme here. But the nesting protocol, what we are looking at doing is creating the server farm necessary for validator nodes. We're looking at little sleep deprived, but we're looking at creating the server farm to make validator nodes for the Polygon network. And within the Flock wallet, users would be able to take their pBirb and their Matic and put it into the nesting protocol, allowing them to earn from fees from processing transactions on the Polygon network without impermanent loss, because it's not LP farming. We would be able to have them act as delegators for the node, and then they could earn from that.
Someone asked on the entire Polygon network.
Yes.
Cool. Wow. Very cool.
And when you consider that there's going to be businesses and corporations using the corporate side of the Flock wallet, and they've got, I don't know, a cool couple million sitting in their account from all the transactions, and then they wind up purchasing, an equal amount of pBirb or whatnot so that they can start delegating on the node as well, earning that income for their business. Things are looking bright for pBirb token.
Yeah, that would be a huge win.
Yes.
Wow, really cool. Well, I mean, I'm excited to see. And you said, again, just for reference, someone was asking again, it's Q4 when the Flock wallet is intended on being released.
Yes, that's the current target on our roadmap. And we've been actively hiring more and more devs. We actually just onboarded like 2 additional ones in the last, I want to say, week and a half. So we're hitting the ground running. We have our eyes set on this, and I'm tired of using other clunky wallets and Gnosis. So we're working towards it.
Yeah, I love that. Very cool. So NFTs, pBird token, and next is the Flock wallet. The first 2 are already out. You're working on the third. For anyone joining in late, I saw the numbers went up a little bit. You guys are essentially finding a way to bring businesses and corporations that are stuck in Web 2 and stuck in TradeFi, and you're finding a way to bring them and integrate all of their funds into Web 3 and DeFi and everything that is building right now in the Wild West that we're all a part of.
Correct. And that's why we set up the legitimate corporation, because there's a lot of rules and regulations that you need to follow in order to be able to play ball with, real world businesses. Part of the reason why you see a lot of DeFi projects promise XYZ, or, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, with bridging that gap, but then, they can't leap across the gap, is because they don't have the corporation structure in place to enable them to enter those kind of business agreements.
Which is
corporations.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that's something that's really interesting about you guys is that you are an entirely doxed team, and
Yep.
you have, and you mentioned at the start that you're actually a publicly filed. Anyone can look you up, C corp, based out of Delaware in the U.S. And so it's not like you're someone that's just in the DeFi trying to convince regular businesses to jump into DeFi. But you're someone that is in both worlds already.
Right. And we feel that as a result, we're in the unique position to actually extend a wing to both sides and act as that bridge.
Extend the wing. Always the bird references.
Oh, yes.
As we're talking. Finish your thought. There we go. The problem with being in separate rooms. You go ahead and say what you're going to say first.
Yeah, I was just going to throw the tidbit out there that I actually have 5 parrots that I have as part of my family here, and so that's where a lot of the bird theme comes from.
So the inspiration was not just like a random, this would be fun for NFTs, but you are a parrot father essentially.
Yes, as we're known as parents. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead with what you were going to say.
Oh, I was going to say, so as we get to know, we've gotten to know what you guys are building, and we were just talking about the fact that you guys are full doxed. One of the questions that is obviously comes up every time we meet a team and talk about a project is wanting to know why you guys are the right team to solve this issue and tackle this. So I would love to hear about your team, especially since I think one of the primary issues that comes up is when someone says, well, I have a huge background in this, but they're totally anonymous and we don't know what your name is.
Right.
You self-doxed at the beginning of the conversation. And so there's a little bit more validity to what you're saying, but I would love to hear about your team and your experience and why you guys are the right team to tackle this.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me preface this with stating that we have a 2 CEO structure. So there's two co-CEOs, but that's a rare benefit because it allows us to tackle different aspects within our area of expertise to ensure that we can keep up with the fast pace of the crypto sector while still managing and meeting all the legal requirements of a registered corporation. So there's myself. I'm Joshua Hood. I'm co-CEO and kind of quote unquote like brainchild of the Parrotly, theme. I have over a decade and a half experience in running businesses. When I was 18, my best friend and we actually started a wireless internet company in rural Virginia where I lived at the time. And we did microwave point-to-point broadband because at the time there was only dial-up or spotty satellite, and we didn't like that, so we decided to fix it by building a business.
Awesome. So you have a already existing background of I see a problem, I fix a problem.
Right. I actually worked with a company for a period of years where they would send me to franchise locations that were failing or not performing well. And my job was to locate the why and then fix it. So risk assessment, finding problems, fixing them. One of the things that I kind of pride myself on is being able to spot the potential in a person and then putting them in the position where they have the opportunity to reach that potential and shine like the star they should. I entered the crypto world about 9 years ago. I handle the outreach and networking, as well as the financial flows, the corporation, and partnership discovery in both the crypto space and the real world. And then we have Ezekiel. He is the other co-CEO. He has 9 years of project and program management experience for the U.S. Air Force. He is experienced in running multiple projects and programs with assets worth over $1 billion, as well as participating in the vetting process for startups seeking U.S. Air Force funding. So, he's very familiar with the tech startup world, the regulations, the rules. He's kind of the one who keeps me from flying too high and saying things that I shouldn't talk about yet.
Yep. So you're the dreamer. He's the realist. It's a good pairing on a team.
Oh yeah, it's perfect because there's times believe me, as parrots talk, right? It's what we do. And I love being able to talk about what we're working towards.
Yeah.
But Zeke will keep me in check by saying, hey, by the way, you can't talk about that yet because it would fall under insider trading laws, or you can't talk about this yet because it's considered a promise of profit, which then the SEC will come after you like they did with Block.one Finance or Ripple for operating a security. So like we have to be really careful with what we can and can't say because of those laws and regulations, because we got to make sure that we don't violate any of them in order to be able to get where we're wanting to go.
Well, that's the reality with being doxxed, right? There's a reason so many teams are anonymous in the crypto space, and it's because it's like we're running in a minefield at times with just lack of clear regulation, or like just an uncertainty at times of, can I say this? Can I not say this? Can I do this? Can I not do this? I don't know. It hasn't really been ruled on yet. Is it going to get ruled on tomorrow and I'm going to get in trouble for something I did yesterday? And that's like, it can feel like we're running in a minefield at times. And so, I mean, we're in the same as a team that is fully doxxed, and that's why it's rare in the space. There are huge advantages to being doxxed, and there are definitely disadvantages that you have to work around, especially with the SEC being doxxed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's something that we're constantly mindful of, and we're constantly staying on top of, any rulings or regulations or new laws that are put into vote, to just stay on top of where we need to adjust, what kind of changes we need to make. Like there's additional things I could say that we're planning on doing with the NFT, but I can't say them because it falls under promise of profit, and then they have to be registered as a security, and it's just a whole headache, right? So it's one of those things where we don't generally talk about those kind of things. We just do it, right? It's the same with like marketing. Everyone is always like, oh, what's your marketing plan? And I tell them, well, does Coca-Cola email you to say, hey, we're going to run an ad during the Super Bowl? Or are you watching the Super Bowl and you just see the ad?
Yeah.
Businesses don't try to hype up people who are currently already using their products or using their services or invested in them, because they've already reached them. In my opinion, when a lot of DeFi projects do that, all they're doing is trying to hype up their current holders to get them to buy more in anticipation of an upcoming pump from new money coming in. And that's considered insider trading, according to the rule of the law. So,
and then the interesting part is, I mean, we had a conversation, I'm trying to remember who I was talking to, maybe Aleph Finance, that we had here last week, that we had a conversation similar to that, just about like crypto marketing in general, that in the DeFi world, marketing is basically a blanket term for like building your Discord and some tweets on Twitter. And there's not much happening in marketing outside of that. And it tends to be like pretty isolated with the way that marketing happens. And so I think one huge win we're going to see is when like more legitimate marketing makes its way to DeFi projects, because the reality is one of the huge things that causes great projects to fail, even though they have cool tokenomics, they have a solid team, is just lack of new people hearing about the project or coming into the project. Eventually, if there is no new eyes on a project, projects have to make money. And so if there's no money coming in, how is a project going to succeed? And a lot of that issue stems with the fact that a lot of teams just don't really understand how to market.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. So putting a pin in that, because I was going to finish talking about the team real quick.
Yep.
We have Matthew. He is our CTO. He has over 15 years of experience working in technology sectors, spanning across multiple roles, including but not limited to developer, solution and enterprise architect, DevOps for mid-sized companies. He's certified in cloud architecture and security automation. He handles all the technology and product development, overseeing multiple developers that we have working for Parrotly. Our product development team is all in-house. We're not outsourcing to any other third parties or anything like that, because to us, quality is very important. Those who participated in the pre-sale, they saw kind of a glimpse of the quality we like to put out. The number one feedback that we got from everyone, and I believe Papa Big Mac also took place in that pre-sale, so he can attest to this, but everyone their feedback was it was so smooth. It just everything worked like it should. There wasn't any issues. So that's one of the benefits of having an in-house team, right? You can make sure everything is done correctly.
Right.
And we have a marketing coordinator on staff. That would be Mindy. She works with the marketing firm that we hired for marketing outreach and utilizing their resources and connections so that we can really put out a proper marketing campaign. We actually have an NFT consultant who works with us on an as-needed basis to help. He was instrumental in the beginning for putting together kind of the plan for FSD NFTs. We have a front-end developer with over a decade of experience. We have a dedicated UI UX designer and developer with 9 years of experience. We recently onboarded another dev who was so excited about what we're building, he actually put in notice at his current place of employment to come work full-time for us. And we also work with some junior and senior developers that we have a contract relationship with, in addition to continually expanding our in-house team. So that's kind of our team in a nutshell. There's quite a few of us, and
do you know the exact number of how many people are on your team?
Let me do a mental tally real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Sweet. Yeah, it's a pretty large team.
Yeah, and when you consider that September, we started researching the idea for the Flock wallet and kind of putting together how we wanted to go about it. And then in late December, we finished our research, compiled everything, and moved forward with the corporation filing. January 24th was the date our corporation was founded officially and legally. We actually got signed up with an official bank account for the business, so we can already start bridging between DeFi and centralized finance. We had our NFT launch February 5th, and then we had our token launch first Saturday of March, I think. No, wait, it wasn't first. March 16th, I think it was.
March 16th. So you guys have basically been...
not March, April 16th.
So before even launching... September was like the baseline for you guys. So before even launching, I mean, you've been around for getting close to 4 months out from a year.
Yep.
So it's not like we just came out of nowhere. That's cool that you guys spent so long. And I had a conversation with someone else the other day where we were talking about, I don't remember which project. Someone in the chat could probably remind me, but they had been working on what they were building for more than a year behind the scenes before they ever even launched the token. And you guys worked on it for, I mean, it sounds like over half a year before launching the token. And I think that's a sign of a little bit more legitimacy coming to the space, because it's obviously there is a lot of us that are really into just degen plays. And some of those, it feels like they happen completely overnight. That someone comes with an idea and they launch the token the next week. And sometimes it works and sometimes you lose a lot of money. And so seeing a little bit more legitimacy, where you see teams that are putting in a lot of work for quite a while before the project ever launches. Even when I hear their project's been working on it for like 3 months before launching, that's like a long time in DeFi right now, which is funny because that wouldn't be considered a long time with most of the traditional world. But it is a good sign.
Yeah, DeFi time definitely moves at a much faster pace. Like someone says, oh, I've been in DeFi for about a year. You're like, oh, wow, you're almost a veteran. And then, I say, hey, by the way, I've been, investing in cryptos and whatnot for the last 9 years. Been around a while.
I mean, that makes, if you've been in crypto for more than like 2 or 3 years, we're basically boomers of crypto.
Right. We're still talking in terms of, I remember, when XRP first launched, or, before Matic was even a thing, or, oh, what do you mean there's more than 2 blockchains,
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, so I was just gonna kind of look through the ledger and see some of the questions here, and
I've got them. One of our mods has a separate Google document with them all written up, so I can just throw some at you so you don't have to scroll.
Okay, that works.
This first question we'll do from JD. He said, if the team is doxed and registered IRL, from a PR standpoint, why come to the DeFi space where it's usually associated with degen, Ponzi-nomics? Could that be a concern when doing business in real life?
That's a good question. So in order to accomplish what we're trying to do, which is bringing businesses to DeFi so that they can capture that growing emerging market, we needed to have a presence in both spaces. Yes, DeFi is rife with a lot of scams, failed projects, hopium, false promises, and we want to change that. I know that, a lot of people say that, but we feel that with the backing that we have, with the team that we have, we actually stand a pretty good shot at helping change that. And I'm not looking to change the entire DeFi space, but I am looking to make it accessible to businesses. And in order to do that, we got to be here too.
Yeah, sweet. Good answer. Next from G, or I'll just call you Garrett. I think that's your name. I think you said that once. He said, are there any competitors in the space that essentially allow traditional retail business to securely and seamlessly accept cryptocurrencies as payment? If so, how is Parrotly better?
That's also a good question. So the only competitor, quote unquote, that we've been able to come across thus far is, obviously you've got crypto.com's Crow card, right? They allow you to, pay with crypto, but, what it does is you send the crypto over and then it sells it for USD and then it gives it to them, right? So that's bringing DeFi to businesses. That's not bringing businesses to DeFi. You have things like Stripe, where you can pay with Bitcoin, right? But it does the same thing. It takes the Bitcoin, it sells it to USD, and then gives it to the business. All of these are band-aids, right? They're only bringing DeFi to the point where they can sell it for USD and then give it to the business. They're not bringing the businesses to accept DeFi. And as such, they're missing out on a lot of potential there because, you may use something like Stripe, but you're still having to pay a capital gains tax event on it because you just sold your Bitcoin, right? So it's sorry, I had to silence my phone. Let me retract my brain there. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So as far as competitors with what we're building, no, there's a couple other things available right now, but not anywhere near to the level of what we're doing. And then when I can tell you guys about the proprietary feature that's coming with the first version of the Flock wallet, I can confidently say that there's absolutely nothing like it on the market. And any business or DeFi product that wants to really enter the real world utility is going to need to use it because we're having to write the code for it, not open source. We are going to be filing an IP trademark for that feature, and we're going to be first to market share with it. And any dev that I have had sign an NDA and then I told them, this is what we're going to be working on, what we're going to need you to help build, they've all had a moment of silence, a pause, and then they say the same thing, which is, oh my God, this is exactly what DeFi needs. Why has no one done this yet? To which I say, quite simply, they don't have the corporate structure necessary to sign the accompanying agreements with businesses.
Yeah, totally makes sense. So there are people, and in answer to that question, there are a limited number of people that are trying to achieve some of the similar aspects, but nobody's doing all of them at once. So why are you guys the ones suited for the job? I mean, in your guys' take, you're the only ones actually going after all of it all at once.
Right. With that corporation foundation.
And your corporate structure.
Yep, exactly. The corporate structure, the various accompanying skills that all of our team has that meshes really well together with what we're trying to build.
Sweet. Perfect. Next question from Papa Big Mac. In your Discord, it has been mentioned that Parrotly has a multi-year plan for the future. Can you share any of the things that are not currently on the roadmap?
Ooh, let me think for a second. Okay, so the roadmap that's public is about, I want to say about 20% of the roadmap that the dev team sees, right? We had to remove a lot of the things that were on there from public visibility to meet regulation requirements, et cetera, just in regards to what we can and cannot say. But yes, I personally have plans that go out over 20 years for this project. Because we have the Flock wallet, we're building that up until it's reached its finality, and is ready for full, capabilities. And then we have a Series B of products that we're going to be putting together, and then we have after Series B, we actually have a side shoot where I'm going to be bringing on an additional team, because let's put it this way: if you've got a bunch of businesses that are onboarded with your system and you see that the metaverse is working on growing, it would be foolish to not put something together that could allow businesses to actually take place in that metaverse. And then so I do have a side shoot that's planned for in between Series B and Series C. Those are all code named because can't talk about them yet. But the side shoot project that's in between Series B and Series C is actually called Project Build-A-Birb. A brief rundown on that. Yeah, Build-A-Birb. Build-A-Bear is out, Build-A-Birb is in. So a very brief nutshell, because I don't want to spend too much time talking about this. We actually do have a recorded AMA in our Discord where I mention this and kind of talk about it a bit. But Project Build-A-Birb is, imagine being able to, let's say right now with our FSC NFTs, which by the way are the only ones that are going to ever get the benefits from the corporations and discounts and kickbacks and everything like that. The Build-A-Birb ones will not. But you mint an FSC NFT and you get what you get, right? There's no choice in the matter. With Build-A-Birb, you would be able to mint feet, tail, body, head, beak, eyes, etc., accessories, and these would have genetic traits on each of the pieces. You could mint and they would be at a much cheaper cost, because we assume people are going to be minting a bunch to get their perfect bird, right? But then you would actually be able to, if you have a male one and a female one, you'd actually be able to breed them, and they would lay eggs. The eggs would hatch, right? And then you would get a bird that has a randomization between the dominant or the recessive traits of the two parent birds. So if you somehow manage to get a full diamond father and a full diamond mother, they may have a baby that comes out with a couple of diamond features, right?
Okay.
But this goes towards for the side project there, and again, I'm hiring a whole new team for that, because we have our main focus. This is just going to be a way for businesses to actually partake in the metaverse via the Flock wallet. But there's going to be an actual game for that. It's 3D, it's world based. You can play it with either desktop or VR, and your main bird, you have your nest, right? And I'm still kind of torn on the name for the game, whether it's going to be like Nest World or what have you. But you would be able to sign in with one of your Burb NFTs, and then that's your avatar, and you can fly around, and you have your own space in the world where your nest sits, and you can display all of your birds. Other people can fly over and visit it, etc. There would be a commerce section, where there's Treetop Shop. You can fly in there. Various businesses that want to enter the metaverse could sell, in-game assets to make your nest different, etc. There'd be in-game quests that you can earn, like the game token currency for, yada yada yada. I go more in depth about that in one of the AMAs that's on our Discord. So that's something that I can tell you about that's not on the roadmap per se. But
Is it not on the roadmap because you just haven't set like a time for when that's actually being developed? It's more of a very in-depth idea that you guys have built out, but you're not actually taking the actions yet to make it happen.
So yeah, it's basically I've already planned it all out, right? I have like all of the what's the word? The specifications and features and how it's going to be done. But we're not going to begin work on that and hire the team for that until we finish product series B. Product series B is integral, and the Flock wallet will integrate with it. And the Flock wallet will also integrate into product series C. Those product series will be announced at one of the FSD gatherings because FSD members get invited to gathering events that we host in the real world. So we have a gathering event planned for this year for the Americans. We have a gathering event planned for like Asia. We're going to look at having one planned for the UK. Spaced out, obviously. And then if people aren't local or can't attend, it would be live streamed to FSC members. But it's basically like a meet and greet. It's where we're going to showcase the product before it gets released. They'll get access to like the beta testing, early version. It's also where we would share what the upcoming products that we're now going to be developing are. So there's but yeah, so the actual project Build a Burb or whatnot, we have the idea ready to go. We have all the specifications and everything, but until we're done Series B, we're not really going to talk about it or worry about it because we want to focus on what our actual goal is. And our actual goal is to bring those businesses to DeFi.
Sweet. Yeah. You guys clearly have, thanks for the alpha there. You guys clearly have a lot in mind beyond what's on your exact roadmap now. But your roadmap is tied directly to your goals that you mentioned at the start. Next question I'll ask is from Ghost. He said, how would this integrate into POS for retail businesses? Would you be looking to work with other companies such as Shopify, or are you intending to do things like that in-house?
So there's a couple of ways that it can actually integrate with the point of sale. And as far as which method we go with is really going to depend on the type of business. I don't know if you've had this experience yet, but there's some businesses that you can go to that upon completion, their receipt actually has a QR code on it that if you scan with your phone will, do Apple Pay or, Android Pay and pay it directly through the QR code, right? So that is one of the ways that we could integrate that for the businesses. Most of the businesses that are going to be integrating would be like web-based, right? It would be companies that are coming in and they have an internet presence and they're looking to accept DeFi. So it would be much easier to have like a cart widget, on their site where they could accept the cryptocurrencies through there and it routes it to their Flock wallet, right? And if you've got ones that, let's say, businesses, I know me personally as a business owner, I'm not going to want to accept like some random meme coin because of the volatility nature. So they would be able to say, okay, we want to accept, these 5 like blue chips, right? And pBirb because, well, we're awesome like that. But let's say you have Dogecoin and you want to be able to pay with it. Well, then when you do that, the Flock wallet using the cross-chain aggregator would convert it to one of the tokens they do accept.
What they want to receive with. So if they're only receiving a blue chip like Matic or Ethereum or AVAX, or they're only maybe they're only accepting stablecoins, I would pay with whatever it is I have, and then it converts automatically. So I spend what I have, and then it converts through your system for the business on the other end into one of the tokens that they actually accept.
Right. That way they're deleveraging the potential volatility risk right there on the spot while still being able to reach any crypto user, regardless of what your funds are in. That way, you're not having to use, capital tax gains events in order to pay for what you want to buy.
Sweet. Yep, that totally makes sense. And it's a good solution to tax events. There's like two camps that I see. There are people that try to desperately record every single tax event, and then man, with things like rebasing tokens, that becomes a whole nother ball game. And then there's the camp that just says, well, if it's happening in my MetaMask, no one knows about it. I'll wait to record it until it comes back to my on-ramp, which is Coinbase or KuCoin or whatever they use. But even that decision is like, that's a risky decision because that could end up burning you. The current situation is, do I spend limitless hours recording all of my tax events if I'm trading like really frequently, or do I pretend they don't happen until they're taking place on a fiat on-ramp, at which case I put myself at legitimate risk? And there isn't really a good option right now, right? The two choices are bad choices. So you guys are trying to bring resolution to a space where there doesn't feel like there's necessarily a good choice.
Right. And you got to think, in addition to that simple solution, with the accounting software that's built into the Flock wallet, and it won't be in the first iteration, right? Because that's going to take a lot of coding to do, and we want to start hitting the market share as quick as we can. But in one of the future updates, that's when the accounting software piece gets added in. But that would take the guesswork out for you in regards to, all your crypto transactions. It'll compile them all. It'll provide it a nice report and then give you your total profits and losses, so you know what to report. Keep things simple. That way it's not a headache for you come tax time.
Yeah, super cool idea. Next question from Disaster Prince. Do you guys need or want any beta testers? Way to sign up beta tester.
So when it comes time to collect beta testers for the Flock wallet, that offer would be extended to anyone who's an FSP member. That's kind of one of. And I would guess,
since the guy who asked that, his profile picture is a Parrotly NFT, I would guess he's probably one.
I would assume so. Yes. Yeah, if he's got that Parrotly NFT profile picture, he is most likely an FSC member. Thank you for your support.
Sweet. Next question from JP. I saw he posted a little bit ago. And I think his question came out of when the previous question, what do you guys want to do in the future that's not on your roadmap? I think this was a response to that. If you want to answer this from JD, sorry. As a potential investor, hearing about doing business with real IRL businesses on-ramping, and then hearing about NFT game mechanics, I'm kind of confused about what you are trying to do or be. Capital management or game design?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a very good point, and that's why it's not really promoted as an item on our roadmap, right? Because my goal is for the capital management, right? It's for bringing the businesses to DeFi, acting as that bridge, creating the products necessary for it, creating product series B and product series C. And that's why we're not really focusing on that. There's going to be a lull between product series B and product series C, because product series C is going to take a while to build. And while me and my team are working hard on that, to just keep expanding and create an additional, almost like offshoot, that's where that metaverse game plan kind of comes in play, right? Because you see all the big companies, just as an example, like Facebook, right? Or hell, even Amazon, right? They all start off doing one thing really, really well, but then they'll have subsidiaries that also enter into other markets. And whether or not that offshoot succeeds doesn't really affect the main company, right? And it would be a separate team that I hire to work on that. It's not, as I said, it's not as important to me as what the main focus of the company is. Um, so like Project Build a Verb is something I can talk about, and it's going to occur during that dead space between product series B and product series C. I don't know if that makes sense for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he writes a response, I can read that. But to me, it makes sense. What you are building and your goal is, well, let me scroll up to his original question. When he said, is it capital management or game design? The answer is capital management. Game design is not on the roadmap yet, but it's something that you guys are interested in exploring in the future with Build-A-Burb as a subsidiary to Parrotly.
Right.
Cool.
Exactly.
From G, he said, are the blue and white birds in Dystopia's Twitter banner a representation of Parrotly Finance?
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Sweet. Well, no idea. Do you guys have any, are you guys, if you can't say that if you have any kind of partnership with them, that's fine. Next question.
Well, let me put it to you this way real quick.
Yep.
I'm a mod over in Sphere. I had an hour and a half long call one-on-one with Sim this morning. I'm actually a mod in the Penrose Discord. I could go on.
You do have relationships with a lot of these interconnected projects.
Basically what it boils down to is like Sim fully intends on migrating from the Gnosis safe over to the corporate side Flock wallet when it's completed. There's certain aspects of like I'm hesitant to use the word partnership, but right now we're in a client arrangement where we're utilizing quantum liquidity, but I am working very closely with Sim on quite a few things. And part of the discussion that we had today, like, oh my God, the alpha he was dropping on me almost made my head hurt. And then I turned around in favor and dropped some serious alpha of what we were building. And we both were getting like goosebumps on how well what we're building as Parrotly and what he's building at Sphere could work together. Right.
Yeah.
So like it was truly like a very intense moment there.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys see a lot of like potential for future, and like you said, not even using the word partnership, but more like collaboration or interconnectivity or something like that. Just what you're building complements what a lot of these other guys are building.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're very excited for what they're doing in the DeFi space because it's going to make what we're trying to do as the bridge between centralized and DeFi so much easier, right? And like some of the things that we're working towards are going to benefit what they're building greatly, and some of the things that they're working towards are going to benefit what we're doing greatly. So it's like it's just it's a match made in heaven, and it's fun.
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, it does sound like it. It sounds like, and that's kind of the fun that just when I say that like DeFi is fun, the reality is that we're all kind of in on the ground level of a realistically brand new industry, sector, whatever you want to call it, that we're seeing just so much creativity and just brand new ideas come to fruition. Some of them fail, some of them blow up. It's hard to tell which is going to be which. And it's more so just about having these conversations and seeing. I care so much more about teams, and we say this a million times over. That if I can find cool teams that have the capacity to actually build well, then that maybe gives me a solid indication of whether or not they're going to be successful in the future. Just because we really are in the Wild West. So much of what's coming won't exist in, I don't know, in a year. And some of it will probably become the new, like, the new household names, right? Like we earlier in the conversation, you mentioned being like, if we're crypto boomers, there was a day that like Polygon was a word that no one knew about. And now it is like a known name in the space. But there was a day that it wasn't. There was a day that Ethereum wasn't a known name, right? That like the reality is so much of this we're just witnessing at the ground level. And some of you guys are participating in it. Some of us are watching. Some of us are investing. But all of us are in like the very bottom ground level of something that has the capacity to be massive in the years to come. So it's a lot of fun to watch, build, and see, ooh, what's going to happen next month? What's going to happen in 6 months? What's going to happen in a year? It's just fun. It's genuinely fun.
Oh, absolutely. Like I have no doubt that, in the near future, it's going to be a big question where people are asking projects, are you using quantum liquidity? Are you KYC'd by Obsidian? And then people are, asking other crypto users, have you installed the Flock wallet yet? In order to, when they're asking, how do I buy XYZ? They're like, well, first you're going to want to download the Flock wallet, so it's like there's so much potential here, and it is really exciting to see the shift in DeFi over the last, couple of years. You went from, everything was a serious project, then popped up all the meme coins, and then this year it's been all the rebase projects, and then you see a lot of fads and phases that the crypto DeFi world is shifting through, but then an inkling, a little shimmer that you can see kind of appearing out of all of that wreckage and dust is some solid projects that are truly innovating in the space, that are stepping up, and you can kind of sense a shift in the overall sentiment in DeFi where people have had their fun, they've had their fill with the meme coins, the rebase, whatever, and now they're looking for more serious things. Like I've seen in the last month or so quite a few deflationary style projects pop up, right? Because that's kind of, people are realizing that maybe inflation is not so good after all. Let's turn it the other way. So there's lots of different things that are
exactly. It's a reaction to the market. We see,
right.
And that's the reality is you see one thing happen, and what tends to happen in DeFi is that something is innovative, and then a million things copy it, and then that thing dies out quickly, and only the top brass from that remain. And then it moves on to something new. Someone else innovates. A lot of people copy it. The top idea survives. And that's kind of the season that we've been in, is that we step really heavily into trends. And it's like a guessing game, an educated guessing game of which ones are going to be the ones that are actually successful when all the dust settles. And that's kind of what we're looking at that you're saying. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. Sweet. Well, Joshua, that was your real name, right? Instead of just
correct
your online name. Joshua, it has been a pleasure having you. We've been here for over an hour. I don't want to keep you too long, and anyone else that's been listening the whole time. If you guys are interested in what Joshua and the team are building at Parrotly Finance, one of our shields just dropped the Discord server in the ledger. Go ahead and jump in there. Bring some love over there. Tell them Obsidian sent you. And feel free, I'm sure that if you have any other questions, jump into the Discord and have a conversation with them. I know that just like any of us that run any Discord, we would love to have conversations with you. So I'm sure they would love to have a conversation with you guys and answer any other questions you have and talk about what they're building. So thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. And yeah, like Matthew said, we love answering questions. We love chatting with people. So pop on over in the Discord. We got lots of fun over there. So
sweet, perfect. We'll see you over there. Thank you so much, Joshua, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Yep, you too.